Hello everyone, Ace here, and today let's talk about how Kotaku has decided to jump in on the whole Sweet Baby Inc. controversy by siding with the harassers and abusers employed by Sweet Baby Inc., who are actively leading a harassment campaign against a Steam curator who is simply pointing out their involvement in various games in the name of consumer awareness. In addition, and perhaps a surprise to absolutely no one, Kotaku's defense of these abusers and harassers employed by Sweet Baby Inc. is filled with numerous blatant lies, to the tune that Sweet Baby Inc.'s own website provides proof that completely contradicts the claims made by Kotaku. Or at least it did until the website mysteriously became unreachable, though fortunately it is still available via archives, much to the annoyance of Sweet Baby Inc., I'm sure. Getting back to the exact topic at hand though, the article in question was written by one Alyssa Mercanti and simply titled, Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what some gamers think it does. No, one company isn't forcing diversity into all your favorite games. Just with the title alone, we have not one, but two falsehoods on the part of Kotaku. First of all, no one is saying that Sweet Baby Inc. is the sole company responsible behind every example of the forceful insertion of politics into games against the consent of fandoms at large. In fact, no one is saying that any single company is responsible for that. What people are saying, and quite rightly so I might add, is that far leftist ideology in general is behind these various examples of artistic rape. And make no mistake, calling it artistic rape is a perfectly appropriate description, given we are talking about the forceful insertion of political agenda into media against the consent of fans, and also given the severe damage that this insertion has on the franchises in question. On top of that, we simply need to start referring to the actions of far leftists in the sort of tone that accurately describes the amount of disgust that they deserve. But as I've said before, it is not just Sweet Baby Inc. that is responsible for this. Sweet Baby Inc. is merely the symptom of a much larger pestilence. That pestilence, of course, being the Marxist theory of empire. A theory that argues that not only is all media political, but also that all media is propaganda. This is used by far leftists to argue that therefore it might as well be far leftist propaganda. This is how we end up with game journalists trying to argue that Tetris was secretly pro-Soviet Union propaganda all along. Or to use another example, this is also why the two college professors who authored Games of Empire claimed that World of Warcraft players killing gold farmers was an act of, quote, ethnic cleansing. Yes, these Marxist professors seriously argued that the act of killing gold farmers in a video game constituted a real-life genocide. But yes, all of that is to say that Kotaku's claim that everyone believes that Sweet Baby Inc. was secretly behind it all is simply a lie from Kotaku. It is a straw man that has been pushed to such an extreme that it does not in any way resemble reality. On that subject, let's talk about the second falsehood in this title, that being that Sweet Baby Inc. isn't forcing their politics into various projects, which is like saying that a highwayman isn't forcing his victims to give up their money. Your typical highwayman does, after all, say your money or your life, so clearly these victims had a choice and they could have instead just let him take their lives. Therefore, he wasn't forcing them to give up their money. And to those who think I'm being a bit hyperbolic in that comparison, may I remind you that at this very moment, the employees of Sweet Baby Inc. have not only been engaging in, but actively leading a harassment campaign against the Steam curator who has been critical of them. This has included not only plots to directly take down the Steam curation page itself, but also the private Steam account of the person running it, with the intent being to deny him of the hundreds if not thousands of games that he paid for. Right now, the current plan from Sweet Baby Inc. employees appears to be to mass flag the Steam curation page itself, which has led to thousands of false reports, again with the intent of trying to take down that page.
I have received a warning on Steam that if I don't take actions on resolving the report, the group could be taken down. So I mean, I have all my moderators that looking into it right now. What do I need to do? I need to resolve the reports, every single one of them. There are more than 1,000 of them. So yeah, all my moderators are working on them right now. Problem is, Steam is kind of bugging, so there are some reports that they are solving that they cannot delete.
At this point, it's only a matter of time before they try to dox him, assuming they aren't actively trying to do that already. And all of this is simply because this Steam Curator mentions projects that they work on. If the employees of the company are that psychotic over such little pushback, then imagine how extreme they can get when dealing with people that they can meet in person. People who they can easily identify by their full names. People who are actively working for companies that brought their company in. Do you really think they aren't able to get pretty much whatever they want in these kinds of situations? So yes, the claim that they aren't forcing their politics into these various projects is also a blatant lie as well. And with that covered, we can finally get into the actual content of the article itself. Well, to start off, Alyssa Mercanti decides to once again repeat the very first lie by stating, quote, Sweet Baby Inc. is not the largest narrative design company in the games industry, nor is it solely responsible for the characters and stories in recent high-profile releases, like Alan Wake 2, God of War Ragnarok, and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. But good luck telling some gamers that. Since I already explained why this is a lie, I'm not going to repeat myself here. Instead, consider this as just more proof that Alyssa Mercanti is so incapable of telling the truth that the only way she could ever hope to stop lying through her teeth is if a dentist ripped them all out of her skull. God willing. Anyways, Miss Mercanti decides to provide a poor summary of the events that have led up to the current situation with regards to Sweet Baby Inc. and their harassment campaign against Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, and how it backfired spectacularly thanks to the Streisand effect kicking in full swing, and that Steam Curator going from less than 10,000 at the time that it was discovered by Sweet Baby Inc. to now over 200,000 at the time of this video. What is of more note in this article is the next paragraph, where Mercanti decides to defend the perpetrators by claiming they're the ones being harassed all along. As Mercanti states, quote, the conversation around Sweet Baby Inc. has ignited a fundamentally misinformed Gamergate-esque firestorm. Its employees have faced rampant harassment as a direct result. Industry figures have had to deny allegations that SBI comes in and completely changes their games. I spoke with several employees of Sweet Baby Inc. to learn what the company actually does, and how the misunderstanding of its role in the industry highlights a far broader problem. So yes, according to Kotaku, the employees of Sweet Baby Inc. were the victims all along. Employees such as @LegoButts, for example, who has in the past advocated for the extermination of Jewish people, as well as participated in DDoS attacks against charity events. Clearly, @LegoButts is not a perpetrator in any way whatsoever. He is simply the victim, as is Chris Kindred, who was the first one who decided it would be a great idea to lead a harassment campaign in order to mass flag both the Steam Curator as well as the private Steam account of the person running the Steam Curator account. Clearly, the fact that Chris Kindred led this harassment campaign means that it is Chris Kindred himself who is the victim of harassment in the story. At least if you view this whole situation the way that Kotaku wants you to view it. Now, I could just read the whole article as is, but let's be honest, I've pretty much covered and provided counter-arguments to many of the things that the journalist tries to argue, so instead I'm going to skip to the part where the journalist provides information that I haven't yet countered in this video. So later on, Miss Mercanti decides to state, quote, though these kinds of social media posts argue that companies like Sweet Baby Inc. somehow force game studios to include diverse characters and storylines, the reality is vastly different. Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative design company, meaning that most of its work is focused on writing stories and dialogue. They are not a DEI consultancy firm. Okay, I'm going to stop right here because Kotaku is seriously trying to argue that Sweet Baby Inc. isn't a diversity, inclusion, and equity firm. That they just write storylines and nothing more. But is that really the case? Let's have one quick look, shall we, at what Sweet Baby Inc.'s website used to say about their work. Founded in 2018, Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative development and consultation studio based in Montreal and working around the globe. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video games industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone. So yes, the About Us section from Sweet Baby Inc.'s own website proves that Kotaku is simply lying about the claim that Sweet Baby Inc. isn't a diversity, inclusion, equity consultation firm. They absolutely are. And to drive the point home even further, let's have a look at the Approach tab and see what it has to say. Quote, Sweet Baby Inc. is an inclusion-focused narrative and consultation company. We're building a team and a process in the hopes of building a kinder, more sustainable industry at every scale. Whether you need a fresh pair of eyes or a guiding hand, we're here to work with you. So yes, not only does this prove that Kotaku is simply lying about the claim that this is somehow not a diversity, inclusion, and equity firm, but it also proves that they're lying about the claim that this firm doesn't force its politics into stuff when the company actively describes its actions as a guiding hand for hire. Kind of like how Chris Kindred decided to guide the supporters of Sweet Baby Inc. into a massive harassment campaign against one of their critics. Now, I could keep going, but that would run into the territory of just beating a dead horse at this point. I think we can safely say that this article from Alyssa Mercanti is completely garbage, though I suppose it's not exactly a surprise that Kotaku would defend someone wanting to exterminate Jewish people, since Kotaku is also the game journalist publication that tried to argue that gamers should be forced to gas the Jews in World War II themed strategy games. Yes, that's an actual article that Kotaku published. And for those curious, I will be leaving a link in the end screen to a video I did on that very specific article. What I won't be doing, unfortunately, is leaving archives to any of these Kotaku articles these days, because YouTube has decided to declare war on archival websites, and I don't feel like having my channel taken down. I also, of course, won't be leaving links to Kotaku because I do not feel like giving them money. They simply do not deserve any. What I will leave in the description below, however, is a link to the Sweet Baby Inc. Detected Curator page, as well as a link to a tweet that I made trying to let Steam know about the harassment campaign this Curator page is facing, to make sure that this harassment campaign fails. With all of that said, this has been Ace. Hope to see you guys again soon. Take care. Ace out.